Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hope you're all having a fantastic day. It has been a while since I've done one of these videos, technically 3 months. I did a video at this right at the beginning of the year, kind of giving you my top picks for the year 2023 and what's coming up here, basically trying to do a prediction for the end of the year. Now we're going to go ahead and do an April version of the list. This is, as of now, these are the top games, according to me, on the Wax blockchain. There are a few disclaimers that we're going to go ahead and talk about here. First of all, there's no clickers on here. There may be some pseudo clickers, we'll say, but the main focus of this list is really entertainment value. That's what we're trying to get out of this. These are games that you can play for a period of time. We're not just looking at the ROI. We're not just looking at the volume. Those are, I guess, they're good stats to look at. But if you're looking in the gaming space, you want entertaining games that are going to be around a while, that keep your attention. So that's what I'm focusing on during this overall list that I'm going to provide here. There's going to be games that are on this list that you might be like, and there's going to be games not on the list where you're going to, I'm sure there's going to get some comments. I can already tell at least 2 games that someone's going to comment down below, and I'll probably mention them at some point during this, that are not on the list. Also, one other disclaimer I wanted to throw out here, that this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Please make sure you don't take this as the financial advice. This is a list of my personal preference, games and projects that I believe are the best options for you on the Wax blockchain. Make sure you do your own research before you jump into any of these projects. Don't just take number 1, 2, or 3 and just jump into those just because I said so. Make sure it's right for you. All right, disclaimers out of the way. All right, I hope you enjoy this. Again, this is going to be the top 10 list plus some honorable mentions that I'll go ahead and throw out here at the beginning. And then I'll really tell you what I think are S tier, top tier games on Wax. There are a few of them that I think you'll all enjoy in different genres. All right, let's kick off with the honorable mentions. These are ones, before I jump into that, these are the ones that I think have potential to get to in the top 10 list this year, but they have work to do in order to get there. Some of them are already doing the work to get there. Some of them took a little bit of a slide back, and they just need to readjust. So keep those in mind with these first honorable mentions that are on here. Let's start off with Waxel World. I often get this. Waxel World, just the game itself, Waxel World, right now is a clicker. I understand that. But if you're following the project at all, there's technically 2 parts to it, and there's a major expansion coming for the Waxel World side. That is a housing, lets you basically create your own little, I don't want to call it a village, but your own little housing area. Make sure you customize it based on the supplies that you earn within the game. That is coming here in the near future. They continue to hint, they continue to add lore to it. So I'm excited by that. But also the thing that we don't focus on a lot is the Waxel Rush side. This is the one where it's a skill-based game. It's basically a runner game that you're trying to avoid a bunch of stuff. It's a fun, entertaining thing. It's skill-based, like I said. And it's a nice combination linking the two. Down the road, there'll be more links between Waxel World and Waxel Rush. So there's a lot more to come with this. This I wanted to mention because I really like the team. I really like the concept around this, but they do have work to do, and they are doing the work. So we'll see that here in the near future. So that's Waxel World. The next one on the honorable mentions is ZOS, Zombie Outbreak Survival. This is also, until a few months ago, it was a pure clicker also. But there's so much potential here. There's a great team involved there. They're starting to make some connections with Alien World. They're starting to do some strategic-based items. So there's more coming with this. There's still more work they have to do to make it one of the top 10 games on Wax. But I think the potential is there. I love the zombie. I'm always a big fan of the zombie survival style games. You know that. I've said it many times before. But that's why this one's on the list. Still has work to do, though. The next one on the list is Realm. I know, this used to be number 1 on my list. They made some decisions that I don't necessarily agree with, going with the whole 12-week season cycle. It became way more of a grind than an actual game. So I think the next season coming up for Realm is going to be an important one for them. So they have a potential of continuing to go on the slide. They also have a potential of bouncing back, especially if you want to get into the game and it does bounce back. The NFTs are super cheap right now, so it's a good opportunity. It's also a very entertaining game as long as you don't get burnt out by the grind itself. So I always have liked the concept of this game. Just the 12 weeks just kind of wore me down, we'll just say that. All right, the next two on the list are relatively new. I have not played this next one on the list, but I've seen a lot of previews for it, so I think it has a lot of potential. And this is Afterland. This is a first-person shooter style game, but also has a lobby style creative home-based type of system. Lots of potential here. Again, haven't played it. They just opened the initial alpha for select folks. So down the road, I'll go ahead and do a gameplay review. I just think it's got potential, so I wanted to put it on the honorable mention list. And then we got the one that I just kind of highlighted this week and last week. This is Pixelgun. It is a platform where you can play a lot of pixel games. Right now, there's only 2 pixel games available. My favorite being Kuma Fruit Field. But there's a lot more to come here, and they're very quick, entertaining style games. These keep your attention entertainment-wise. There's not a ton of ROI potential with these games, but we're very focused on the entertainment side for today's list. So I had to put this one on the list. It, again, just caught my attention recently, so lots of fun. That's what the honorable mentions are. And I know what someone's going to say. They're going to say, why isn't Adventures Guild on here? Why isn't Million on Mars on here? And a few other ones. Just my personal preference. I think Million on Mars has a great strategic, but again, there's been a slide and it lost my attention there. And also for Adventures Guild, I think it's a great concept. If you like Discord games, it is the best Discord game on Wax. It just doesn't keep my attention, unfortunately. I have to say I like flashy, shiny objects. So I think that keeps my attention. Those are the only 2 reasons those 2 didn't get on the list, but I knew I was going to get some grief for it, so I had to call them out here. All right, now we are moving into the top 10 list. These are the games and projects, and I have to emphasize projects, especially for the next one I'm going to talk about. These are the projects that I think have the most potential, both now and also throughout the rest of the year. First one is going to be Nook Studios. It's a project. It's an overall studio. They have 3 games that are going to be coming out here in the near future. They already have a Mining Architect that's available. They are doing a huge focus on the connection between Web 3.0 and the real world, which I think is needed to bring more and different types of people into the community. The games in talking with Lycos and the team, the games are super interesting sounding. Obviously have not played any of these 3 here, but I like Mining Architect as far as the ability to mine and the connection to the real facility. I've talked about enough, so I won't drag on about that one. But there's 3 games. The next one that's going to be coming out from the studio is the Blockchain Chronicles. So we'll hear more about that in the very, very near future. As soon as I can get access to it, as soon as they let me, Lycos, if you're watching this, let me have some access. I'll be happy to do a gameplay review on it. But I'm excited for the studio. It's a great team that's around it. So that's why they are number 10 on my list. It's more of a potential. This number 10 is more around the potential of the games that are coming out and the team that's involved in it, because I know they're a solid team. I talk to them frequently. Bruce the Goose is great there too. So lots of good things coming here from Lycos and the team from Nook Studios. That's number 10 on the list. Moving on to number 9 for the list. This is a staple. It's been probably on every single list I've ever put out there, and that is Immersis. This is still one of the top 3D games on the Wax blockchain. They have been going through a lot of background work over the last few months, so there hasn't been a ton of new in-game stuff because they're migrating from one location to another that's going to bring better performance. So there hasn't been a lot of development. That's why they're number 9 on the list, but they still have huge potential. Still one of the better gathering games that's out there. 3D run around. Now you have the whole battle system that's on there. Had to be on the list. Number 9. So I encourage everybody to take a look at it, especially if you like the space theme. Types of games that allow you to run around and gather. More of a game instead of a clicker, which is nice to see. Number 8 on the list is Nova Pangea. I've talked about this a lot. I've done full beginner guides on this one. This one, they're still developing. They just introduced the Novo coin about, I guess, a month and a half ago. They're doing land dividends from a financial side. It's very interesting now, especially since they have that token there. But from the entertainment value side, there is a lot going on here. They're still very early in the process where you're building up your little district and your area. There's storyline that's starting to creep in there. It's the best art, I would have to say, currently on the Wax blockchain. There's a lot of development and potential here, and they're starting to continue to put more and more pieces in there. I still think it has a lot. To be honest with you, this is one of the most underrated games on Wax, with the potential throughout the rest of this year. Highly, highly encourage you to take a look at it, even if you just take a look at the art style that's involved there. They spend so much time on making it look nice, and also it's a great team that's around it. So this had to be number 8 on the list. And I can see over the next year or so, as they add the different, especially the PvP side and the different realm-specific characteristics, I can see this one climbing up the list considerably. Next on the list is a studio, FGL. Specifically, I really like the Outlaw Troopers games for FGL. In a whole, the studio, the 3 games that they currently have released are solid games. I like the intermixing of the token between all 3 of them. It adds a whole lot of characteristics there. But specifically, the project that I like the most out of FGL is Outlaw Troopers. It is a strategic style game. They're continuing to add more and more to it. This seems to be the one that they're developing the most out of the 3, which is interesting because it's the newest out of all the 3. But it also has a lot more depth because now you can get planets within the game. They continue to have the tournaments every season. So there's a lot going on here, especially if you're a space theme fan. I would definitely check out Outlaw Troopers here at number 7 on the list. Moving on to number 6, we have Wombat, and specifically for Wombat, we have Dungeon Worlds. I like Wombat as a whole because they have the utility of the wallet and the Wombat app that they have there that allows you to earn in-game token for playing a whole slew of games, from crypto games to Web 2.0 games. So from a utility perspective, Wombat is great. From an entertainment perspective, right now I'm focused on Dungeon Worlds. Dungeon Masters is the one that you're probably familiar with. This is where you send Wombat caving. That's a pure clicker, but it's a very in-depth clicker. They have a big expansion that just started launching pieces of it here in March, in the middle of March, where you're allowed to start doing the mining. But there's a whole expansion that's going to go along with it that allows people to run dungeons, and there's breeding, and there's training, and there's a whole lot of aspects that are going to be here part of Dungeon Worlds. I think there is huge potential, so much potential that I'm going to have my own dungeon in Dungeon Worlds for the Warrior Line community. But there's a lot going on here, both from the utility and the entertainment perspective. Obviously, there's pure speculation for me for Dungeon Worlds because it's not released yet. We only have the one little piece. But I think it's going to be super interesting to keep an eye on Dungeon Worlds and how they develop it and how it rolls out over the next few months. That is number 6 on the list. We're going to go ahead and move it to number 5. And now we're starting to get to, we have a few staples on the list here. And we have a few projects that I've mentioned before, but I don't think I've ever made it in the top 10 list. But I'll explain those when we get to those. So let's move on to number 5, which is Farming Tales. Farming Tales is, if you're not familiar with it, is a farming game, but it is not the normal style farming game where you click, click, click. This is one where it has your personal farm. It's 3D. They have new Wax Chester. They are now just about to release the tournament system with a new Wax Chester. If you're not familiar with the tournament system, it is the multiplayer competitions. They're going to start with a tractor race, which is a 3D tractor race where you're racing against other people online. They're also going to have a few other games that are involved in there. I can't say what they are yet, but if you run around New Waxchester, you'll get a feeling what they are. So there's a lot of depth here. Plus, they have the connection to the real world, where if you own the honey, the hives, or if you own saffron fields, you get connections to the real world where they'll actually ship you these products. So it's neat how it is connecting the real world farms and products with the actual in-game stuff, plus the multiplayer combinations. They're PvP, which is not your typical PvP where you try and go crush someone. You're basically just doing like racing against people or other competitions against people. So it's a great project. It's been around for almost 2 years now. So it's tried and true. It has a good team behind it. Definitely an interesting one that you should keep an eye on. All right, we are now moving on to number 4, and I think you can all guess which project I'm going to do here. It has utility and gameplay now. It is Taco Universe. From similar to Wombat, from a utility perspective, huge potential here, and more coming out here in the near future. I'm not going to focus too much on the utility side, from the taco swap to the mobile apps that they have available for you. Now that they have Encryptia, and Encryptia is continuing to develop every single season. They have Brigade. They have a number of games that are on the way, plus the Omnicoin that connects between all of them. I think there's a lot of potential here and a lot of stability here. If you take a look at the NFTs for Taco, very stable. So it's good to jump in there. Very entertaining from the Encryptia perspective. I talk to people all the time that say they just get sucked into Encryptia because they want to get to that next stage of the rewards that are there. So I had to include Taco Universe as a whole to this list. So if you have not had a chance to try Encryptia, literally just launched season 3 a few days ago, so you still have plenty of time to jump in there and check it out. But number 4 on the list is Taco. Now, before we move on to the next 3 that are on the list here, I have to say that we are jumping up to a whole new level with these 3. If you ever see those tables that show you like the A tier, the B tier, the C tier, but on the top they have the S tier, the best of the best, I have to say these next 3, if you're looking specifically at Wax, these are the best of the best for their specific type of game that they are. And I'll explain that a little bit more here in a second. So any of these 3 are great. I have my personal preference as far as the number 1 goes. You probably could all guess it, but I'll highlight here in a few seconds. But starting out with number 3, the best card game on the Wax blockchain is Warsaken. And Warsaken is just super popular. I still have yet to try it, but I've watched quite a bit on streams. It is without a doubt the most played most streamable game I've seen so far. I know the next 2 have some streaming also, but whenever I'm looking at a Wax streamer on Twitch, I always see Warsaken being played. It's addicting, it's entertaining. If you like card games, it is the top card game on Wax. So go ahead and let me know if there's any in the comments down below. Are there any card games better than Warsaken? I don't think so. All right, number 2 on the list. This is also a game I can't actively play, but it is without a doubt the most polarizing and best first-person shooter on the Wax blockchain. This is Forged Arena, and they just signed up a partnership with a AAA studio, which is going to make this even more interesting to keep an eye on. If you like Web 3.0 games and first-person shooter games, you have to try Forged Arena. So much level here, so much fun as far as the different arenas that they have and the different things that they're adding to it. I believe it's the first strictly Wax game that's been on Epic. There's going to be another game that goes on Epic here shortly. There's just a lot of potential around this, especially if you like first-person shooting style games, and they continue to add to it. So I'm very interested to see how this continues to grow. throughout the years, especially now that they have that collaboration with the AAA studio. It's going to be very interesting to watch this one. And many people would put this at number one, but personally, it's not my number one Wax game. My number one Wax game is still an alpha, which is still mind-boggling to me. My number one game on the Wax blockchain is Avalon, the game. This is still an alpha. It is more complete than most games, if not all games, on the Wax blockchain with all the stuff that you can do. Just the different, you have pets, you have mounts, both flying mounts and riding mounts. You have business ownership, you have housing, you have multiplayer raids. You have a quest line, which is going to be increased quite a bit between now and beta. There's just so much in this game, and we're still on the first alpha island of the game. There's guilds that are already developed. They just released the third raid, which is incredibly difficult, but it requires you to have that tactical team where you have a certain number of tanks and a certain number of DPS, and you have your healers there. I am a huge fan of open world fantasy style games. That's why this is the most entertaining. If I had all the time in the world, I would be in this game a lot more than I am right now. I just don't have a lot of time to play a ton of games because I'm doing all the other stuff. But this is the game, if I had to pick one game on Wax that I would play on a consistent basis, it would be Avalon. And if you have not tried it out yet, unfortunately the initial alpha for gold, silver, and emerald is ending here. And by the time you watch this, it may have already ended. But there's going to be some more opportunities to play here in the very near future. Just keep an eye out, like Atomic Hub or maybe some other places. And then beta is going to be coming around at the end of the year, which is going to be super fun to check out. I've done a lot of videos on it, so if you're all interested in fantasy style multiplayer open world games, I've done some videos on it, or I encourage you to go check out their channel. But this is my number one or top 10 list. All right, let's go quickly run back through the list. At number 1, we have Avalon. Number 2, we have Forge Arena. Number 3, we have Warsaken. Number 4, we have Taco. Number 5, we have Farming Tales. Number 6, we have Wombat, specifically Dungeon Worlds. Number 7, we have Outlaw Troopers, and really FGL as a studio in general. Number 8, we have Nova Pangea. Number 9, we have Immersis. And number 10, wrapping up the overall top 10 list, is really Anuk Studios and the games that they have coming here in the very near future. I hope you all enjoy this. I know I'm going to get some comments. Why wasn't this on the list? Why wasn't that on the list? I encourage you, please let me know if there's any games that I did not put on the list that I may not have done any gameplay reviews on, because I'd be happy to go ahead and take a look at those games. I love it when you guys let me know of different games that are available. Sometimes I hear about them, sometimes I don't hear about them. It gives me a chance to go ahead and take a look at games I may not have been aware of. So I hope you all have a great day. Let me know in the comments down below what you think of the list, and I'll talk to you all later. Bye.